Okay, Councillor, go, 30 seconds.
Good morning, everyone. I want to start today by confirming that Canada and the United States have agreed to extend by another 30 days the border measures that are currently in place. This is an important decision and one that will keep people on both sides of the border safe. It's another example of the excellent collaboration between our two countries, and I want to thank Minister Bill Blair for leading the discussions with the United States. Ce matin, je veux commencer en vous confirmant que le Canada et les États-Unis se sont entendus pour prolonger d'encore 30 jours les mesures frontalières qui sont déjà en place. C'est une décision importante qui va protéger les gens des deux côtés de la frontière et je veux remercier le ministre Blair d'avoir mené ces discussions avec les États-Unis. We're all here today, but it is the weekend. And usually, a Saturday morning in April means getting outside to enjoy the sunshine, having a friend over for coffee, or just taking the kids to the park. But these aren't normal times. We're living through an unprecedented public health emergency, and we need to keep responding accordingly. So even as the weather gets nicer, and even in the weeks to come as we start seeing hopeful news, we can't let up. Because if we do, we could lose the progress that we've made. Later today, you may see some new ads with people you know, like Hayley Wickenheiser, Chris Hadfield, and Dr. Tam. And they'll remind you to stay home and save lives. That's how we keep each other safe. So stay at home. Limit your trips to the grocery store to less than once a week. If you do go out, keep 2 meters distance from each other. And as you do your part, know that we're here to support you. Plus tard aujourd'hui, vous allez peut-être voir des publicités qui montrent des gens que vous connaissez, comme Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, David Saint-Jacques et la docteure Mona Nemer, notre conseillère scientifique en chef. Ils vont vous rappeler de sauver des vies en restant chez vous. Comme je le dis souvent, tout le monde doit faire sa part. Au cours des dernières semaines, on a annoncé des mesures historiques pour vous aider à traverser cette crise. Avec la prestation d'urgence, la subvention salariale et les prêts aux petites entreprises, on appuie des millions de familles et de travailleurs à travers le pays. Mais il nous reste encore du travail à faire. Il nous reste encore des gens à aider. Donc aujourd'hui, j'annonce d'autres mesures de soutien ciblées. Notre gouvernement va allouer plus de 306 millions de dollars pour aider les entreprises autochtones. Le financement sera acheminé par l'entremise d'institutions financières autochtones et de l'Association nationale des sociétés autochtones. Ils permettront aux entreprises d'obtenir un prêt sans intérêt à court terme et des contributions non remboursables de façon à ce qu'elles puissent traverser la crise et surtout rebondir après. Les investissements annoncés aujourd'hui vont aider des milliers d'entreprises à tenir le coup jusqu'à ce que la situation s'améliore, y compris beaucoup d'entreprises dirigées par des femmes autochtones. Ces entreprises emploient des gens d'un bout à l'autre du pays dans beaucoup de secteurs. Et c'est une première étape. Bientôt, on va annoncer d'autres mesures pour soutenir les entreprises autochtones et leurs employés. This morning, I am very happy to announce that the government will allocate more than $306 million to give Indigenous businesses the support they need. This funding will be provided through Aboriginal financial institutions and administered by the National Aboriginal Capital Corporations Association. It will allow Indigenous businesses to access short-term interest-free loans and non-repayable contributions so they are better positioned to make it through and rebound after this crisis. Today's investment will help thousands of businesses bridge to better times, including many that are owned and run by Indigenous women. These businesses employ people right across the country, in small communities and big cities alike. They create good jobs in a whole range of sectors, so when we support them, we're supporting families and workers too. And this is just a first step. We'll have more to say soon on what else we'll do to help Indigenous businesses and the people who rely on them. Small business owners are at the heart of so many communities, and this is a tough time, whether you own a store, a restaurant, or are part of the hospitality sector. So we're going to be there for you. With this new investment and with measures like the Canada Emergency Business Account, the wage subsidy, and the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, we're focused on helping you. It will get easier, but until it does, we need to be prepared to persevere. And that includes ensuring that our frontline workers have the equipment and tools they need to do their jobs and stay safe. Yesterday, 2 planes full of N95 masks and coveralls arrived in Canada. More shipments will be coming in this weekend and into next week with additional medical supplies. I can also announce that we will begin receiving deliveries of face shields from Toronto Stamp very soon. They've shifted from their usual production of rubber stamps and ID badges and will be providing millions of face shields over the next 2 months. Le Canada continue de recevoir des envois d'équipements de protection individuelle. Hier, 2 avions sont arrivés avec des masques N95 et des combinaisons. Et d'autres avions transportant du matériel médical arriveront en fin de semaine et au courant de la semaine prochaine. On attend tous avec impatience le moment où tout sera fini. On attend tous les samedis où on va pouvoir voir nos amis ou amener nos enfants à un anniversaire. Ce jour-là va arriver, mais seulement si tout le monde continue de faire sa part. Donc cette fin de semaine, restez chez vous. Continuez de suivre les directives des experts et ensemble, on va passer à travers. Merci.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We'll now go to the phone lines for some questions. Just a reminder, it's 1 question, 1 follow-up. Operator?
Thank you. Merci. La première question, Michel Lamarche, TVA Nouvelles. À vous.
Oui, bonjour. Une petite question pour vous au sujet de cette entente qui est reconduite sur la fermeture de la frontière avec les Américains. On a quand même eu peur, M. Trudeau, de manquer d'équipements, de médicaments et d'aliments. Est-ce que la nouvelle entente prévoit les mêmes mécanismes pour la circulation des biens ou vous l'avez bonifié, vous avez des garanties supplémentaires?
Non, c'est les mêmes mécanismes. Justement, on prévoit que les denrées essentielles, la fourniture médicale et tout doit continuer à passer à travers notre frontière partagée et c'est ce qu'on va continuer d'assurer. The agreement is the same terms, just extended for another 30 days. It will ensure that we continue to get essential goods and services back and forth across this border.
Bien suivi.
Bien sûr. Par rapport à ces masques qui devaient nous arriver de la part de la compagnie 3M. On sait à quel point ça a été compliqué en raison des directives mises en place par le président américain Donald Trump. Vous n'avez pas cru bon d'aller chercher des garanties supplémentaires pour que tous ceux qui nous fournissent en masques, en gants, en jaquettes, puissent le faire facilement aux États-Unis et qu'on n'ait pas seulement qu'à compter sur la Chine pour recevoir cet équipement de protection?
Effectivement, c'est extrêmement important qu'on continue à recevoir l'équipement essentiel de partout dans le monde, y compris les États-Unis. On a été très contents de pouvoir assurer la continuité des envois de 3M et on continue de travailler de très proche avec l'administration américaine pour s'assurer que nous recevons tout l'équipement nécessaire.
Merci. Prochaine question. Operator.
Prochaine question, Mélanie Marquis, La Presse, à vous la parole.
Merci. Bonjour, M. Trudeau. Le gouvernement, votre ministre Marc Garneau, annonçait hier l'obligation pour les voyageurs aériens de porter des masques faciaux ou des couvre-visages. Va-t-on élargir cette consigne-là à la population orientée lorsqu'on entendra le déconfinement, voire avant même?
Par rapport à l'annonce du ministre Garneau, je dois souligner évidemment qu'on interdit présentement tout déplacement non essentiel. On ne veut pas que les gens se mettent à voyager, qu'ils aient un masque ou non. C'est moins bon de porter un masque que de rester chez nous par rapport à la protection contre la COVID-19. Mais c'est une mesure qui va continuer d'aider les gens dans des situations où la distanciation sociale comme dans un avion, est extrêmement difficile. Par rapport aux mesures qui seront mises en place, une fois qu'on commence à relâcher un petit peu les restrictions, c'est encore en discussion. On est encore en train de discuter longuement avec les scientifiques sur quelles seront les meilleures mesures en place pour assurer la protection des Canadiens et on va en avoir plus à dire au fur et à mesure que ces discussions et cette réalité s'approche.
Ensuite, oui, Alex. En suivi, Monsieur Trudeau, par rapport à l'entente qui a été conclue avec les États-Unis sur la frontière, il y avait eu un pépin avec l'enjeu des demandeurs d'asile irréguliers que les douaniers américains, en fait, comptaient renvoyer dans leur pays d'origine. Est-ce que ça a été modifié dans l'entente? Est-ce qu'il y a quelque chose qui est dans la nouvelle entente là-dessus?
C'est la même entente qui est renouvelée pour encore 30 jours. Et on continue de s'assurer que nos valeurs et nos principes en tant que pays soient respectés.
Thank you. Next question, operator.
Merci, thank you. Next question, Teresa Wright from the Canadian Press. Your line is open.
Good morning, Prime Minister. The Conservatives want 4 in-person sittings each week in the House of Commons with a reduced number of MPs, and they argue that the daily ministerial announcements happening in front of the media could be done in the House of Commons. What's wrong with that?
I think, first of all, it has been extremely important that every single day the Canadian public gets informed of measures that we're putting forward. We are putting forward new measures almost every single day, and I think it is essential that the media continues to have access to asking questions to better inform and ensure that Canada is functioning the way it needs to be. Part of that job in our democracy is ensuring that there is accountability through our parliamentary systems, and that is something that we are also very much focused on. We have proposed that the House of Commons return in some fashion every single week to permit engagement on accountability and also pass further measures to help Canadians. Right now, we're in a situation where MPs across the country and their staff are wondering if they're going to have to get on planes tomorrow and fly to Ottawa. Obviously, that is not something that, from a public health standpoint, we should want to see happening. But Right now, on the books, the rule is Parliament needs to reopen fully on Monday. That's obviously not a good idea, which is why we've proposed measures going forward that we're discussing with the other parties, and we certainly hope that we're able to come to an agreement so that we don't all have to convene in the House of Commons on Monday morning. On est encore en train de discuter avec les autres partis. On a proposé que la Chambre pourrait siéger à chaque semaine pour assurer des opportunités de poser des questions au gouvernement, mais aussi pour pouvoir passer d'autres mesures qui vont aider les Canadiens. La réalité, c'est que lundi matin, 338 députés et leur équipe sont censés être à Ottawa, sont prévus d'être à Ottawa pour que le Parlement siège de nouveau. Évidemment, ce ne serait pas une bonne idée dans le contexte actuel. Alors, on a fait des propositions pour assurer qu'on puisse faire d'autres choses pour garder notre démocratie en bonne santé, tout en gardant les gens en sécurité. On espère vraiment que les autres partis vont être d'accord avec des propositions comme ça, parce que je pense que ce serait un vrai problème si nous devions retourner au Parlement lundi matin.
And follow-up, Teresa?
Yes, many people on social assistance programs are surviving on less than people who are getting the CERB. And many marginalized Canadians will simply never be able to access the CERB as it is structured. Rather than continue to tweak it, why not just make the CERB universal?
We moved very quickly on replacing income for people who lost a paycheck because of COVID-19. These are families who were relying on that next paycheck to be able to pay for their rent, to be able to pay for groceries, to be able to support their children and their parents. This was the absolute priority that we needed to move forward quickly on, and with the moves we were able to make over $7.5 million payments have been made already, and there are obviously many more to come. At the same time, we recognize the particular vulnerability of marginalized communities, of particular groups, and that's why we have put forward significant measures to try and help them, whether it's through shelters, through support for charities and charitable organizations, or extending measures so people who work a very small amount of hours a month can still receive the CERB. These are the kinds of things that we're looking at, and we're continuing to move forward on getting the help out to people that we need to.
Thank you, and we'll take one more question on the phone. Operator?
Merci, thank you. Next question, Christopher Gooley, Tatayi, your line is open.
Good morning, Prime Minister. You've been holding regular conference calls with the premiers during the COVID crisis, but why have you not reached out to the opposition leaders in a similar way, particularly when you're governing in a minority parliament and one that has not been convening regularly?
We have been in very close and ongoing conversations with opposition leaders, both me directly and mostly through ministers and officials, and regular briefings that happen from Health Canada and officials to keep people apprised on these issues. But you're absolutely right that we do need to keep our institutions and our parliamentary principles strong, which is why we've proposed that Parliament could come back in a modified way every single week to ensure accountability, to ensure that we can move forward on legislation, and that's what we're very much hoping we're going to get agreement on from all parties, because the alternative would be returning to Ottawa on Monday morning with a full House of Commons and all the staff associated with, and I think we can all recognize that that would be a mistake at this point.
And a follow-up, Chris?
Yeah, some of the changes your government has made, though, to the Canada Emergency Response Benefit for workers, the wage subsidy initiative for businesses, and the recent revisions regarding emergency loans and commercial rent assistance for small businesses were proposed by the opposition parties. So do you now think that looping in the leaders could save valuable time and get programs and money out the door sooner?
we have been looping in leaders and opposition members from the very beginning. Indeed, the proposals on expanding, on filling gaps have come from MPs of all parties, including many, many Liberal MPs who've been passing the message through. We know that Canadians are working together in unprecedented ways to fill gaps and to respond to these challenges. And it is wonderful, quite frankly, to see so many suggestions coming forward, many of them that make it into tweaks and improvements and changes to programs that are designed to help as many Canadians as possible. It is a great sign of collaboration and solidarity, of Canadians working together on leaning on each other, on being there for each other, just like we're seeing outside of the political world as well.
Hi, Prime Minister. Crystal Logue with Global News. Today you said small business owners are at the heart of so many communities, but small businesses are terrified about the possibility of getting out of this and having enormous debt piled onto them in the form of rent deferrals and loans. The fear is that if they're either going to run out of money now or a year down the road, these businesses have legally been forced to close and yet still legally have to pay rent and utilities. Have you considered financial aid that would not have to be repaid or discuss rent forgiveness or control with the provinces?
We have discussed the issue of commercial rent with the provinces. I had a good conversation with them on Thursday evening where this came up. We are looking at it very, very closely. We have a number of proposals that are working their way through the system, talking to various industry groups and renters associations, as well as looking at the provinces. The provinces have jurisdiction over rents and the relationship between landlords and tenants, so we need to work with them, which is what we are doing. We recognize there are very different realities and systems right across the country, but we also have heard very, very clearly from small business owners that the wage subsidy is helpful, but fixed costs are a real concern, and that is something that we're going to have more to say on soon.
Ian Wood, CTV News. Prime Minister, BC's seen some success flattening the curve and has indicated they might look at loosening restrictions. You've said it's too soon to be doing this, and meanwhile, provinces like Ontario and Quebec are still in the thick of it. Are you concerned a difference in messaging and measures will enable people to disregard what's in place now? And are you going to allow provinces to make the decision on reopening, or will the federal government need to give a green light?
I think Canadians understand that what we are doing now has been tough, but is essential on getting through this in the best possible way. And Canadians are also really worried that if we reopen too quickly or too soon or in the wrong way, we could find ourselves back in this situation a couple of months from now, and everything we will have sacrificed during these months will have been for naught. So we are being very, very careful in how we move forward as a country. I have spoken extensively with the premiers about this issue, and everyone recognizes how cautious and careful and vigilant we need to be. There is a real desire to ensure that we are coordinating our messages, our guidelines, the principles that will underline how we move forward. But of course, the situation is very different right across the country from one region to the next, and the measures that they will be able to move forward with at various moments will vary as well. That's going to be an important part of the recovery here. We need to make sure that we're working together, as we have been, in an unprecedented way between premiers and the federal government and municipalities and various other communities to make sure that we're doing the right kinds of things and that we're sending the right messages to Canadians every step of the way. But the message remains that we have to be extremely careful to do this the right way, in a coordinated and collaborative way.
The Canadian meat industry is saying it is facing a crisis as processing plants have to close or slow production because of COVID-19. And the Canadian Federation of Agriculture has said that your government needs to prioritize food production so we don't have shortages. We've heard the government is considering all options, but what are they, so that Canadians can feel confident that they'll be able to buy meat and food in the coming months?
I think ensuring the continued flow of groceries and our food supply chains is absolutely a priority. But so is arresting the spread of COVID-19. So is ensuring that workers in all industries across this country can remain safe. getting that balance right requires us all to step up very carefully, because we need to make sure that, yes, we are continuing the flow of great Canadian food to people, and indeed we need to ensure that we have as much domestic food security and stability as we possibly can. And that means taking advantage of the summer months that are coming up, and the growing season and the planting season now. At the same time, we have to make sure we are doing things that are keeping farmers, agricultural workers, producers and transformers safe. And that is what we're very, very much attentive to now.
Good morning, Prime Minister. Ashley Burke, CBC News. Harvard researchers have suggested that there needs to be at least 500,000 tests being done a day in the U.S. in order to safely reopen the economy. What is the specific number of tests that Canada needs to hit daily to safely ease up restrictions here? I think
every day we are working on new technologies, on better coordination, on accelerating the pace of testing. It has been somewhat uneven across the country. There are places that have done very, very well. There are some places that have faced challenges that they are busy overcoming. But we are confident we are going to be able to significantly ramp up testing. And all the premiers recognize that extensive testing is an essential part of any plan to loosen the controls on people and start reopening or restarting the economy. This is something that the federal government is very much engaged in with the provinces, ensuring there are enough tests, there are enough swabs, there are enough reagents. These are the kinds of things that we are all working on together. We know we have to do much more than we're doing now, and we are tracking towards doing that.
Many of the cases in Canada have come from those returning from the U.S. Trump's talked continuously about reopening the U.S. You said today the border agreement's going to stay in place, but if the U.S. does loosen some restrictions in the next few weeks, what kind of health threat does that pose to Canadians?
We have the border restrictions in place where non-essential travel across the border will not be permitted. We will continue to take the measures necessary to keep Canadians safe while ensuring the continued flow of our essential supply chains on which so many Canadians depend. Okay. Nous allons continuer d'être très vigilants par rapport à nos frontières et aux voyageurs de l'international. Nous allons continuer de travailler avec les Américains pour assurer notre sécurité, comme en continuant les mesures courantes à la frontière. À chaque étape, nous allons faire ce qui est nécessaire pour protéger les Canadiens et assurer la continuité de nos chaînes d'approvisionnement.
Marika Walsh with the Globe and Mail. Prime Minister, I'm wondering if you can tell us what the impact on Canada's stockpiles has been for PPE when the government closed so many of its warehouses across the country.
Over the past weeks, we've been focused on delivering PPE to the provinces, on delivering the necessary equipment to ensure that our frontline workers who are putting their lives forward to keep Canadians safe are properly protected. The efforts continue. I mentioned 2 plane loans coming in over this weekend, more coming in over the coming days. We are confident that we are in a good place around PPE and will only get better as more and more Canadian producers and suppliers come online. It has been something extraordinary to see the level to which Canadian manufacturers have been stepping up to get involved, and we are in a much better place than we were a number of weeks ago. Of course, there is a need for continued vigilance, and there will, of course, be many lessons learned on how Canada can be better prepared for any future outbreaks than we were this time.
Bonjour, M. Trudeau, Philippe Vincent Foisy de Radio-Canada. Une question peut-être un peu simple. Mais pourquoi on prolonge la fermeture de la frontière avec les États-Unis? Est-ce que c'est parce que vous avez des craintes que le président est trop rapidement vers un déconfinement? Est-ce que c'est parce que vous avez l'impression qu'ils ne savent pas ou qu'ils sont incapables pour l'instant de bien gérer la pandémie? Expliquez-nous pourquoi.
On a fermé nos frontières aux voyageurs de l'international depuis bien des semaines, et ce pour les gens de tous les pays du monde. On a pris quelques jours de plus pour le faire avec les États-Unis parce qu'on avait besoin de s'assurer que ça se fasse d'une façon coordonnée, qu'on puisse permettre la continuation de nos chaînes d'approvisionnement et qu'on puisse le faire en concert avec notre voisin et notre partenaire le plus proche. C'est des mesures qui ont été essentielles pour protéger les Canadiens, pour limiter la propagation du virus, et nous allons les continuer pour les États-Unis et pour tous les autres pays pendant encore un bon nombre de semaines. Okay. We made the decision a number of weeks ago to close our borders to international travelers. We recognized that this was a significant measure, but was an important one in order to prevent further spread of COVID-19 from coming in from overseas. It has contributed to why we are now in many parts of the country talking about seeing a flattening of the curve, which is good news. We included the United States in those measures because these are measures that we put in place around the world. We did take a couple more days to ensure that we were properly coordinated with our closest neighbor and most important trading partner, and that was very, very effective in it being a mutually agreed on and carefully coordinated measure. We will continue those measures both with the United States and with the world for what is undoubtedly going to be many more weeks.
Sur les négociations avec l'opposition pour le Parlement, comment ça se fait qu'il n'y a toujours pas une entente? Ça s'en vient dans 2 jours. Vous êtes capable de vous entendre avec les Américains. Qu'est-ce qui bloque? Il y a trop de partisanerie? Vous n'êtes pas capable de mettre de l'eau dans votre vin?
On a une situation où plusieurs des différents partis sont d'accord qu'on devrait avancer avec des mesures pour avoir un Parlement qui revient de façon limitée à chaque semaine. Mais il y a un parti qui veut avoir un Parlement qui siège 4 ou 5 jours par semaine et je pense que c'est pas la bonne chose à faire, c'est pas le bon équilibre et on continue nos discussions. Many parties, opposition parties, are in agreement that limited sittings every week are a good measure to both ensure accountability and continue the work that we're needing to do to pass legislation for Canadians. We are, of course, looking forward to being able to see more virtual parliamentary sittings that will allow MPs from all around the country, not just from the National Capital Region, being able to participate. There is one party that still wants more than I think is wise at this particular time in terms of a public safety approach and in terms of ensuring that we are getting that balance right in moving forward for protecting our institutions. But we are hopeful that we're going to get to a good place soon. Merci tout le monde. Je vous laisse deviner.